All right, let's talk about one of the biggest, most mind-bending questions in all of physics. Could time travel ever actually be possible? We're going to dive into the science that says, maybe, and the one single paradox that could make the whole idea completely impossible. So let's start with a thought that I think everyone has had. That fantasy, right? The dream of going back, finding your younger self, and just fixing that one thing, that one mistake you've always regretted. Just imagine it. You hop back to 2011, you find yourself, and you give one tiny piece of advice. Buy Bitcoin. It costs like $1. Today, that single simple action would have turned that $1 into over $90,000. I mean, the temptation is it's huge. But here's the truly wild part. This isn't just fantasy. The fundamental laws of our universe, and I'm talking specifically about Einstein's theory of general relativity, they actually have the math for time travel baked right in. The theory shows how massive objects can warp not just space, but time itself, creating these theoretical pathways to the past, things like wormholes. And you know what? We actually have proof that time isn't fixed, that it's flexible, that it can be bent and warped. We see it happening in our daily lives, and most of us don't even realize it. The GPS in your phone? It only works because we account for this. See, the satellites orbiting Earth are moving so incredibly fast that for them, time literally moves slower. So to stay synced up with us down here on the ground, their clocks have to be adjusted forward by 38 microseconds every single day. That is real-life time travel, just on a very, very tiny scale. But, traveling into the future at slightly different speeds, that's one thing. Actually traveling back to the past, well, that's where the dream slams headfirst into a logical brick wall. A problem so deep, it could unravel the very fabric of reality itself. And it's called the grandfather paradox. This idea was first dreamed up by a French writer named René Barjavel way back in 1943. And it poses a question that is so simple but so absolutely devastating that it ties all of logic into an impossible knot. Okay, let's really unpack this because the implications here are just staggering. We're going to walk through this scenario slowly. This is the point where that simple dream of fixing the past just completely collapses into a full-blown causal catastrophe. So you did it. You built a time machine. It actually works. You set the dial way, way back. Long before you were born, long before your parents were even a thought. The year is 1920. You step outside. You find him. He's just a young man years and years away from meeting the woman who is destined to become your grandmother. And for whatever reason, maybe it's a test, maybe it's just pure chaos, you intervene. You make sure that they never, ever meet. And right here, this is where the chain of cause and effect just shatters. Let's follow the logic, okay? Step 1, they never meet. Step 2, that means your mother or your father is never born. Step 3, if your parent is never born, then you are definitely never born. And step 4, if you were never born, who went back in the time machine to stop them in the first place? The whole system it breaks, it crashes. It's like you're deleting the source code of a video game while you're still playing it. The cause? That's you, the time traveler, is instantly erased by the effect of your own action. The very foundation the whole thing was built on just vanishes from existence. And this isn't just about you, personally. Think about it on a much grander scale. What if you go back to prevent the Chernobyl disaster in 1986? I mean, that's a noble act, right? But what if your parents only met because they were both part of the real-world evacuation chaos? By saving thousands of people, you might have inadvertently erased the one specific circumstance that led to your own birth. So this is the heart of it. This is the impossible loop. Let's go back to that classic scenario. You're standing there in 1920. You decide to do it. You pull the trigger, but in the exact infinitesimal moment that you succeed, you cease to exist. You just poof, vanish. So who's there to pull the trigger? Now, this seems like an unbreakable wall, right? A logical dead end. But physicists have come up with a couple of absolutely fascinating ideas, these theoretical escape hatches that might just resolve this entire paradox. So you've basically got two completely different ways the universe could handle this problem. In one corner, you have a universe that protects itself, that literally fights back against any change. And in the other corner, you have a universe that just says, fine, and creates a whole new reality for your mess to exist in. Okay, so the first theory from a physicist named Igor Novikov. His self-consistency principle basically says the universe has a built-in safety feature. Logic cannot be violated, period. So you can go back to the past, but you are physically incapable of creating a paradox. The laws of probability would literally conspire against you. Your gun would jam, which is a real 2 to 5% chance anyway. You'd slip on a banana peel. A bird would fly in front of the bullet. Anything and everything to protect the timeline. But the second theory, the many worlds interpretation, oh, this one is even wilder. It says you can change the past. You pull the trigger, your grandfather's gone. But it doesn't erase your history. No. Instead, your action splinters reality in two. It creates a brand new branch, a parallel universe where you were never born. Meanwhile, your original timeline, the one you came from, it's perfectly safe, completely untouched. And just how many of these splinter realities could there be? Well, some estimates from string theory suggest there could be 10 to the power of 500 parallel universes. That's a 1 with 500 zeros after it, new ones branching off at every single quantum moment. So, whether the timeline is fixed and self-correcting or constantly branching into infinite possibilities, it leads us to one final, really profound question. And this isn't about physics anymore. It's about the nature of our own lives. Just think about that for a second. If Novikov's principle is right, and the past is truly unchangeable, does that also mean the future is? Are all of our choices just us playing out a pre-written cosmic script? Is the universe just course-correcting us every time we try to stray from the path? Faced with this incredible, unanswerable mystery, one of the greatest scientific minds in all of history, Stephen Hawking, decided to run an experiment. A simple, elegant, and frankly, brilliant experiment. He threw a party. The logic was just flawless. He held the party, had champagne, balloons, the whole thing, but he only printed and sent out the invitations with the exact time and coordinates the day after the party happened. Only someone from the future who could travel back in time would ever be able to see the invitation and show up. And nobody came. The party was empty. So that's where we're going to leave it today, with an empty room and one of the most exciting, provocative, and totally unanswered questions in all of science.